All right, let's look into our diaphragm a little bit, and I just want to give you some tools to align it properly. Because what can happen a lot with our diaphragm is that it's not aligned properly with the pelvic floor. So we want our diaphragm to be quite flat in the body. And what can happen because of the way our posture is, our diaphragm can kind of tilt, and if it's tilted, it can't work as well. Okay, if it's tilted, imagine like the what is it? It's in like a cylinder in an engine. Imagine if that thing that's in the cylinder wasn't straight, it wouldn't be working as well, right? If it's straight, it works really well. I hope that makes sense. So that's kind of the same as the diaphragm. So what happens a lot is people want to improve their posture, and to improve their posture, they push their chest out. Okay, so let's see what that looks like from the side. So I think my posture's not so good today, so I'm going to push my chest forward. Now, look what happens here. In my rib cage, my rib cage is not straight anymore, okay? We want the rib cage to be more like this, and the diaphragm to be straight. If I push it forward, the diaphragm's going to go like this. Instead of it being like that, the diaphragm's going to now be like this, which is not what we want. And the same thing happens with our pelvis. So once we push our chest forward, the pelvis actually also goes forward. It tilts forward. So the pelvic floor then, instead of being straight, now is like this. Okay, so like this. So we've got a diaphragm that's like this, and we've got a pelvic floor that's like this. What do we want to do? We want to create a pelvic floor like this and a diaphragm like this. So let's do that. It's a pretty simple exercise to do this. So you're going to be lying on the floor. And on a yoga mat or on something comfortable. So just lie down on your back. We're going to bring our legs up to 90-90. 90-90. Okay, we've got our 90-90 position. And we're going to bring our arms up as well. Okay. Actually, before we bring the arms up, make sure you're rolling your pelvis back so that your whole lower back is on the ground. Then bring your legs back to 90-90. 90-90. Rib cage should be nicely pressed into the ground. So you should feel most of your spine on the ground, except for maybe, your neck, obviously, wouldn't be on the ground, okay? So we're really activating the whole time. This is not a lazy position. We're activating the whole spine. So you should be feeling nice and strong through the core. 90-90 is a great position to work on your core. All right, once you think your spine is nice and strong on the ground, you are in a great, strong 90-90 position. Bring your arms up. Okay, palms facing each other. And stay in your 90-90 position. So what we're going to do here is we're just going to breathe. We're going to breathe, and we're going to allow the diaphragm to be in a straight position. Because what we've achieved here, our pelvic floor and our diaphragm are now parallel for each other, aren't they? Because our spine is nice and straight and our pelvis is tilted back. That's what we've done with our legs. We've tilted our pelvis back. Okay. So what I would like you to do here, place your hands on your knees and pull your knees into your hands. So resist. But at the same time, we're still keeping our spine on the ground. And we're breathing nice and deep. Okay, we'll do about 5 breaths. Nice and long. Every breath should be about 4 seconds in, 4 seconds out, if not longer. Okay, bring your arms up and feet down to the ground. Just rest here for a second. keeping your arms up just to really make sure you don't recruit any other accessory respiratory muscles and you're just using a diaphragm. So that's what happens when you've got your arms up. You can't really use these stress breath muscles up here, and your diaphragm gets recruited instead. All right, time for the next set. So bring your legs back into your 90-90. For this one, we're going to keep the arms up. All right. So what I want you to do though, is I want you to imagine you are pulling your feet down into something, and you're also pulling your legs up into something. And we're doing that in a resisted fashion. So obviously we're not actually moving our legs, so we're not actually moving them down or forward, but we're imagining we've got something under us and in front that we're pushing against. And what we're doing with our hands, we're reaching the fingers all the way up. Okay? We're reaching, but we don't want to lift the shoulders away from the ground. We're reaching while having our spine still on the ground. So again, this is also kind of resisted. It's like something's resisting us from bringing our shoulders up. Something's resisting us from bringing our feet down and bringing our knees back. So this is a very, very active position, and we're going to do 5 breaths in this active position. Nice and long inhale, nice and long exhale. Maintaining that straight spine on the ground. And you're trying to really still release or relax through the pelvic floor on the exhale if you can. Sorry, on the inhale. On the inhale, relax the pelvic floor. Making sure your shoulders don't come off the ground. You're nice and relaxed through the head and neck. But the rest of the body is basically on. All right, when you've done 5, bring your feet back down, arms back down, rest for a second. And we'll do a few more rounds. So we'll do the resisted with the hands, one more round, and then another round of the active 90-90-90 position. So bring your legs back up, 90-90. Bring your hands onto your knees and just resisting, allowing your spine to still be nice and straight and strong on the ground. And this doesn't have to be like a huge resisting force, as long as there's a little bit of force. It doesn't really matter what the amount is. You just also don't want to spasm, so you don't want to go too hard and then be like, I got a stomach spasm or whatever. As long as there's a little bit of force, it's good. All right, so 5 long deep breaths. Keeping your spine nice and straight on the ground. When you're done with those, bring your feet down on the ground, bring your arms back up. I'm going to get ready for our active 90-90. All right, when you're ready, bring your legs back up. Imagine pulling your feet into something, imagine pushing your knees up into something, and imagine pulling your fingers straight up into something. Shoulders remain on the ground, shoulder blades on the ground, spine on the ground. Relaxing through the pelvic floor on the inhale. Really feeling into that diaphragm, like having a little bit more of direction now, right? We're creating that beautiful core, that tube for the diaphragm to go down and up in. Okay, so we're really directing it into a nice parallel position with the pelvic floor. So again, 5 breaths here. And when you're ready, bring your feet down, bring your hands down, maybe moving the knees side to side. Lots of cracks through my back. And congratulating yourself on realigning your diaphragm and your pelvic floor. Okay, so that's pretty simple, but it's so powerful. I would suggest you probably only need to do that many sets. So we did 4 sets, 2 of the pushing against the hands and 2 of the active 90-90. I would just do that many, and a little bit more often is better than a lot, not very often. Okay, so this is all about creating habits again. Okay, so telling the body, like giving it some signals and being like, look, this is how I want my diaphragm to function. Look, this is how I want my pelvic floor to function. And eventually it'll catch on. All right. So this one's also really good for your posture, doing that. So realigning your diaphragm, realigning your pelvic floor is also realigning your whole posture. So I've got another posture correction video as well for to use for your meditation practice. A little bit different than this, but I would suggest doing the diaphragm alignment first. And yeah, I hope that all makes sense, and love you lots. Bye.